Statistical variance is not just an academic exercise. You can apply high and low bounds to actually manage schedule performance. Here are the highlights on how to do so. Start with the nominal estimate at complete for time in its classic form. Add the high and low bounds of the estimate. Now look for trends. What's a trend? 3 or more consecutive measurements headed in the same direction. What does a trend tell you? For answers, let's look at some real examples. The symmetrical convergence on a flat nominal means the estimates will be fairly close to the actual outcome. No further action is required. The divergence means that the estimates are not reliable indicators of final duration. As soon as the trend emerges, take action to recover the project. The synchronous downward trend means that the low bound will be slightly lower than the actual outcome. That might indicate padding in the schedule. Maybe it's time for action. The coordinated upward trend means that the high bound will end up slightly higher than the actual outcome. Again, maybe it's time for action. When performance is stable, trend analysis signals the likely outcome. When does the signal call for action? Too early and you lose credibility. Too late and you lose recoverability. For an answer, you need 2 things. First, the performance baseline, and that's the planned duration. And second, performance thresholds, limits of acceptable performance. They can be either a fixed percentage of the planned duration, such as 10%, or a variable percentage. That can be derived from uncertainty allowance. Uncertainty leads to risk, and risk must be mitigated. One mitigator is contingency, and another is reserve. Use uncertainty allowance to set thresholds. Add or subtract the allowance to or from the planned duration. With the thresholds set, assess the variance of estimates from the baseline. If the variance trends toward a threshold, prepare to take action. If the variance breaches a threshold, it's time to act. Here's an example. Start with base data. Plan value and earned value. Earned schedule and the schedule performance index for time. And the classic estimate at complete for time. Finally, the statistical variance, the high and low bounds for the estimate. Next, chart the estimates. Here the planned duration is 12, the uncertainty thresholds are 15%. What do the results tell us? The upper and lower bound start well beyond thresholds. That's expected. Statistical analysis excludes outliers, so the scope of data is less than 100%, but at the start it's still very wide. It's too early to draw conclusions at this point. By 30% of the duration, the estimates have stabilized and can be used for decision making. No trend breaches a threshold, so there's no call to action at this point. In the final reading, an overall upward trend emerges, but is it too early to take action? Thresholds give the answer. The low bound is in a trend, and it breaches the low threshold. Early completion is unlikely, and worse, the planned duration is at risk. It's time to act. To summarize, apply the bounds. Start with the classic estimate at complete for time. Set the context with the high and low bounds. Analyze trends, and then analyze the variance. If a trend heads toward a threshold, prepare to take action. If it breaches a threshold, it's time to act. For a step-by-step how-to on this topic, here are some references.